This is Red Rocks! This is the edge!
And now he can go all the way to goal. The sub. Wow, why are you going in the pocket there when you're 25 metres out? Kicked it out of bounds on the full. Strange decision.
This is absolutely Essendon. It's our round 4 review. Can you smell something? That was a stinker performance. That's what I can smell. Boy, oh boy, and we just had a little bit of a recap there, but gee whiz, it started with so much potential. It seemed like actually the game was going to be a bit of a shootout, but by halfway into that second quarter, the Dons were firing blanks.
Well, yeah, I mean, we highlighted Nick Hines' moment of insanity at the beginning of the show. Yeah, well, look, I mean, to be fair, I mean, Nick Hines tries to do things a little more creatively than most. It comes off once every 30 times, but it certainly didn't come off last night. But he was not alone, was he? No. And I think, look, I don't think there's much value in us trying to break down the quarter by quarter moments in this game.
Let's do it.
Well,
there wasn't much.
I don't know what we can say about the game. I think everyone probably saw it, but I do think we need to just, go back again and ask the question: what is wrong with this football club? Because, of course, we're going to have better games this year, and I'm sure we'll win a few games, and we'll all be going, "Wow, we're on our way." A little bit like we did last week, to be honest. But
some more than others.
Yeah,
to be fair.
But, look, the same problems keep occurring. And, I've just been scratching my head since the end of that match last night going, why is it that Essendon, of all the clubs in this competition, just cannot get it right? And we were talking before coming on air about how every other club in this competition over the last 20 years, whether by accident or good planning, have had their moments, have had their
not
grand
necessarily
final
winning
appearance.
the premierships.
No, not necessarily, but they've made it to a grand final,
Yeah.
or they've had their moments. even like bloody basket case clubs like Melbourne and St Kilda, Freo, they've been to grand final. Melbourne won a damn grand final. They don't actually care about winning grand finals. They'd much rather be at the Snow. So I just don't understand what is it that continually stops this club from going forward, and why is it that we have these continual false dawns, false hopes, and is that Scotty on the phone?
Yeah, and it was
because he was going to call through.
It's on silent, but the emergency contacts that get through. Go on. Yes, no, you're making a very
so look.
point.
I want to try and talk a little bit about that today, because I'm sure that's on everyone's minds out there. All the Bomber fans out there are thinking the same thing: is what do we have to do? And the age. And I'm sorry, I'm going on. I'll let you have a word sooner or later, probably later. But there was an interesting article in the Age this morning about the recruiting component, and the point was made, if Brad Scott really wants to try and understand why there are problems at Essendon, he probably should get his recruitment managers in and ask the question, why don't we have midfielders like Port Adelaide's? Now, Port Adelaide have had their moments as well, but that's I think a reasonable question to be asking after 20 years since our last finals win. We still have not got a list which is balanced, that has players that are durable and players that can play the game of AFL football consistently from one week to the next. And that's where I'd like to go today.
Look, I love the snap judgments. This game's all about snap judgments. We made some last week. And this week, it's kind of turned 180 degrees, hasn't it?
But it hasn't over 20 years, though.
No, it has not.
Yeah.
No, it has not. And hence why we started this channel, and hence why we're here, because the pain continues.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot of views for this video.
You think?
I'm looking forward to a day when no one wants to watch this show because we're winning and we're all happy and we're out celebrating on the weekend.
That's true. Because that's what will happen.
We're all looking for some sort of therapy on YouTube.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can help. I'm not sure we can.
Because we continue to question why. Why do we follow
So what do you think?
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And what frustrates me, because let's face it, it's a business, right? And in any other business, if someone said in 2017, listen, bit of patience is required. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna build things again from the ground up, and so you just need to be. So we're all patient. The whole team was all of us. But it's
Post the saga.
Yes,
Post the
exactly.
saga,
A bit of time for the dust to settle. Now it's 2024. We're being told again, be patient. This is a long-term process. No one from the club comes out and says, hey, you know how we said it back 7-8 years ago? We kind of stuffed up in the decisions that we made. Sorry about that. But the patience starts now.
Yeah. It's delayed call for patience.
Now it's for real. This time, no, we're not mucking around. But no one ever says that. And it'll probably happen again. I don't know how long...
So can I comment on that, if I may? Brad Scott calls for us to be patient. Now, fair enough. He's picking up the reins. The last 5 coaches have all said, let's be patient.
It's how you take the pressure off yourself.
No, but he's got some reasonable right to say that after the cacophony of the previous coaches and the sort of empty vessels make the most sound approach to coaching. But I want to say this. If it's about being patient, why on earth is the football club putting out videos on its social media platforms asking the players whilst they're warming up in their practice run at Adelaide Oval yesterday, who's going to be the game changers?
Guy Caldwell.
Dust Parish will probably have 43. Not quite the record, but he'll get close.
I reckon Langers tonight, 5 goals. Friday night lights in Adelaide, it's made for him, I reckon. I reckon Jonesy kicks 3 or 4 for us and
talking.
Yeah.
But when you're coming out and saying, with the Essendon edge, we've got all of this new aggro aggression and our players are going off at the mouth saying, Jonesy's going to kick 3 or 4, you're just making it more difficult for yourselves and you look like fools. And that's the problem. Your supporters see straight through you and you've got to read the room, Essendon. For the love of God, read the room. We don't want to hear any more of that bullshit from your marketing department. Make it happen on the football field.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't agree more. And I was cringing with the whole Essendon Edge stuff. And I know that was just a comment that Brad Scott made, and then it kind of snowballed, and the media jumped on it. And then, at halftime, they're asking opposition players, were you ready for that Essendon Edge? And it's just all cringeworthy stuff. It's better to just under-promise, over-deliver, and rather than coming out with that stuff. So, it's just... it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating. Now, we know social media people, we don't want to have a go at you. You need to come out with stuff. You need to create content. We get that. But, just choose other elements rather than, what are you going to do? How well are you going to play? We don't need that extra pressure. We're struggling as it is. Choose other topics that can still provide an insight into the players' backgrounds and their character and, and build up their brand, but just without doing it that's a point that we're making. We don't mean to just piss all over the department.
No,
we
yes,
understand that it's required.
We have the most deluded marketing department in the AFL, and I know that that's their remit. Guys, get out there, engage with the fans, talk it up, never criticise. We can't do that. It's time this club just took a long hard look at itself and went, we are a bottom 4, bottom 5 side. Now, I'm saying that on the back of a lot of optimism last week, and that is why I'm particularly disappointed this week. And I think a lot of people are, and certainly in my group of friends amongst Essendon fans, the comment I'm getting down the text messages from last night and this morning is just a feeling of complete deflation after having a sense of positivity last week. And this is the constant recurring theme. You do the old 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and we're just on that constant sort of circular treadmill. So, look, I think there's still quite a bit to be excited about. I think we've got some good young players. They're just not finding their form. They're probably not being developed properly as well.
Yeah.
So, and again, and the other issue that I want to just touch on is these soft tissue injuries. Now, I know every club has an issue with injuries, but what is going on down there? I was concerned before the game last night when it was announced that Ridley had redone his quad, and I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go. Karma is a bitch.
What's he been doing?
Look, he's not playing football, yet he's redone his quad.
Was that just taking the rubbish out? How did that happen?
Yeah, walking up the steps at the hangar. And then I think Perkins had a hamstring or a hamstring awareness or whatever the hell they call it down there now.
Yeah.
So, and Guelphy did his calf, and it's just these constant problems with soft tissue injury. So I don't know where we're going to go. I'm scratching my head. The young guys that we had so much hope around, Cox, Perkins, Reed, we can't even get him on the footy field. Sartis is running around in the reserves. Hobbsy had a pretty poor game last night. So, these young early draft picks just are not coming on. We've got a history of poor recruiting, and, it's coming home to roost. We don't have a balanced squad. We've been screaming out for years we don't have the right sort of array of midfielders. They all seem to be the same kind of player. Smallish, not particularly big-bodied. We don't have key marking forwards. In fact, that we did so well out of Peter Wright was more luck than through design, because Peter Wright was not a stellar player at Gold Coast. He had a good year with us, and now, of course, he's struggling to come back into the side. He's suspended, so I don't know where we're going. Jonesy was okay. If we want to talk about him,
he was competitive at least, and a very nice goal from the boundary line.
Yeah.
Very nice, but at least he halved the contest. We had too
He
many.
did. Very good point.
We had too many players last night that we weren't even getting 50% of the contest. It was 33%.
And one of those players,
less.
I don't want to make this a player assassination.
No.
But I do want to talk a bit about Sammy Draper, because I've been a big fan of Sam's for a long time. He is a close friend of ours here, as you can see over my shoulder. And but someone's got to have a word to him.
Yeah.
Someone's got to pull Sammy aside and say, it's not all about goal of the year.
Yeah. Because I honestly, I feel in many ways that was the worst thing that could have happened for his career. Because I feel like he feels like every moment has the potential to be goal of the year now.
Yeah.
And he just takes on too much. Whereas really, he just needs to just play with a bit more conservative. You're already the bigger bloke. You're more athletic. Just,
He took a bit of a hiding against that, who was it, Soldo?
I mean, where did that come from? Who's that guy? He totally dominated. In fact, both him and Goldstein, to be fair. I mean, Goldstein did a lot of great contributions in general play around the ground. You've got to hand it to the guy.
Yeah.
He really does. But, where did that come from? But if I could just circle back to the game, and I know you didn't want to sort of cover it because you feel like it's a futile exercise, but the first quarter, okay, we were matching it with them, and arguably, maybe, we got certainly, into the forward 50 quite a few times. Second quarter starts. Hinkley moves a couple of levers.
Yeah.
It's all shut down. Where was our plan B?
Well, wouldn't they have thought that was what was coming? Surely at quarter time, you're looking at the stats, at the charts. We're all over them on a pressure count and really doing very well, to be fair, albeit that I think our composure was still a bit shaky when we got the ball, but we were certainly keeping the ball in our forward half. Yeah. And I thought defensively they were great in that first quarter. So the opposition's going to come out at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have been given an almighty rev up by Hinkley. Look, guys, they're mauling you in the close-in contest. You've got to go in harder. And that's exactly what Port Adelaide did. Yeah. And they broke us in half.
Yeah.
And then that last 2 minutes of the second quarter when they scored 3 goals, and I mean, a couple of those goals were just embarrassing, the lack of effort from our boys. Rosie wandering through the pack as if he was strolling across a field of daisies,
just gliding like a Swedish ice skater through the middle.
Yeah, and look, he's a great player, no question. But still, there was just a lot of people slapping him on the way through, but not actually laying the tackle. I don't know what happened. It was almost as if they had given up, and that's what alarms me the most, is this mentality. We can see from one week to another that there are some good players on our list. They show it. They perform. It's what makes a great footballer in the AFL is not that they're super talented, and it's not because they have some unique physical attribute. What makes a great footballer in the AFL is that they do it every single week.
Yeah.
And on that note, I have to just say, Zach Merritt.
Yeah.
Wow. This guy would be a double Brownlow medalist if he was playing at another footy club.
Just see him shaking his head.
I saw that, and it broke my heart, because I'm thinking he's what, 27 now, Zach?
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. I reckon in that moment he was shaking his going, you know what, I'm never going to see a grand final. I'm never going to see finals.
Yeah.
And I feel for the guy. He's signed away his life to be with the Bombers, and for that we're forever grateful. But you know, what a tragic waste of his talent, that he's got a bunch of muppets running around with him.
It's hard to fly like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys. It's very harsh, but you know, you get the point that we mean. We feel for the guy because he was just trying to the end last night. Some of the chases, like really, you just think he's got no chance, but he would just get there enough just to alter the kick of the Port Adelaide player, which then gave us a chance to create a turnover.
Exactly, yeah. No, he was amazing in a performance that was anything but that. So I don't know about you, but if I was a young guy playing out at the Bombers, you know, rocking up every day to training in the locker room, and I saw Zach Merritt, I would be hiding myself. I'd be making sure we had no eye contact. I couldn't look him in the eye because he's the captain. He's setting the example, but no one's following him.
Yeah,
you know, what's going on down there? Why is this the constant problem with our footy club, that these so-called, you know, gun professional players that we have cannot just step up to that level of commitment and dedication and effort? Why can they not do it for 4 quarters? We did it for a quarter. They were great. And then just blew it away. So, look, let's hope next week is a different week and things change. But, you know, and it might be. We might come out all guns firing against the Bulldogs at Marvel.
Maybe.
And, you know, we're going to be sitting here next week going, well, you know,
reborn.
Resurrection at Marvel. You know, and the problem is we know that that's going to happen, but that's not the issue. It's the bigger picture, the 20 years of mismanagement. When is that going to change? And I've got to tell you, one last comment from me. Adrian Dodoro. Oh, actually, I've got a morning coffee meeting. Now, Adrian Dodoro, we've talked about many times. He was out in the media a couple of weeks ago saying, "Oh, I'm still here.
Right,
I'm still running the show."
Because people were asking.
Go, just go, because you know it's too late to fix the mess that you've created. But someone has got to tap that man on the shoulder and say, "Thank you for your service. 20 years. We still don't have a balanced list of footballers. We still don't have anything more than a Zach Merritt as a really potential star player, a marquee player. And you've been at the coalface of that recruitment strategy for 20 years. It isn't working, and it hasn't worked, and he's got to go. And the fact, if I was Matt Rosa, the guy they apparently hired to become the new recruitment or manager, talent scout, whatever they call him, I'd be fucking walking out the door.
Yeah.
I'd be going, you know what, I'm not going to be reporting to this guy for another minute. This is killing his career.
Yeah.
It's time for Essendon to wake up. I don't know whose photos he's got tucked away in his filing cabinet, but it's time for Essendon to tap that man on the shoulder and say, look, it may not be your fault entirely, but it's certainly a large part of your fault, and out you go. That's it. I've got nothing more to say.
That said, though, Gresham kicked 3 goals last night and was one of the very few shining lights. Goldstein was sort of a bit average.
Yeah.
Dersma did okay.
Sure.
So from a recency bias perspective, like that wasn't bad over the summer. We had a decent summer.
Do you want me to go through?
A decent summer. No.
Jacob Townsend, Cutler, Hibbert. I could give you a dozen names of players he's brought in from other clubs where there's a track record to go to.
Yeah, right,
He is the broken clock. He does occasionally get it right.
Yeah, right.
But otherwise, in general, have a look at our midfield. Where's our Patrick Cripps? Where's our Bontempelli? You know, where's our big-bodied mid? Where's our Nathan Fife? You know, guys that have been recruited after the players that we've picked have gone on to be superstars.
But these Port Adelaide mids, who were the big-bodied ones there? I mean, you know, Connor Rosie, he seems pretty slight to me, and he was just gliding through. So I don't know whether that's necessarily even the answer. But what hurts me more than most...
I think it might be.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Friday night... Showtime.
The Friday night. So we're going to blame Fridays now?
No, but we're on display, and like that's sort of the performance as well. Do you know what I mean? From a club perspective, you kind of want to show that you're deserving of Friday night games, I think.
I think that's not going to happen in a while, is it, right? Because Friday night is generally going to be one of the sides in that competition is going to be a good team.
Yeah.
So if we get drawn on a Friday night, you know it's going to be up against a good team or playing away at their home. And that was what happened last night. We played a good team on their home patch and they showed us up. So I'm hoping we can come out against the Bullies and prove me wrong, prove us all wrong. But if the bloody Essendon marketing team starts pumping out videos, asking Nick Hind if he had his chance again, what would he do? I'm walking away. I won't do this anymore. So I want to see a response. I'm sure we all do.
Let's end on a positive.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.
The positive is we do appreciate your support for this channel. As always, please comment. We always value your input. Got some very good, astute football minds that have joined us in this community. So please share your thoughts.
Talking about astute football, mate, and I'd like to send a belated happy Easter to our God-fearing Christian out there who thought I was being disrespectful last week by celebrating Easter.
Is that what it was?
It was something
I didn't.
like that.
I didn't understand.
But then he had the nerve to say, "I look like a C-U-N-T."
Yes, a C of a bloke.
A C of a bloke.
I thought maybe he meant charismatic
Or champion, a champion of a bloke.
I thought that's...
Anyway.
don't jump to conclusions.
Well, I mean, if he's concerned about being disrespectful, don't call people, the C word. That might be a good starting point, wouldn't it? Anyway, enough of that.
Well, we occasionally get those. But we didn't really quite understand where you were coming from. But we also want to thank...
He was speaking in tongues.
The people of late who have given us a super thank you. Really appreciate that. Let's talk about sweet cash. Very much.
The tip jar, was it?
It was, exactly.
That gentleman who did that, you don't know how much that was welcomed in the current financial situation that we find ourselves in.
We do appreciate, and in fact, and I never mentioned this or I never acknowledged this, even late last season, there was a couple of people that sort of mentioned, how do we contribute? If you guys ever do merchandise, we'd love to support and buy it. We're not organised enough to create merchandise, but thank you for your generosity of spirit. Anyway, we'll come up with something one day. But in the meantime, thank you for the super thank yous. What are you looking for?
There was a young girl celebrating her birthday.
Phoenix, who ran through the banner.
Yeah,
and I was putting my little man to sleep, and I didn't see it. Did you see Phoenix running through?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Yes. Okay.
But either way, we wanted to send her a big hello. It's a little late, so she may not have made it through to this stage, and I'm sure Dad would have blocked her ears when all the C words were jumping around.
Because no one's watching at this point. But we hope that you are, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well done on running through the banner. It's a shame the Bombers couldn't do a little better for you last night.
She's young. She can jump to another team. It's easy when you're that age.
Well...
It's a bit hard when you're at my age.
Can we assume that within the next 20 years she'll see a premiership? This is what I'll ask you. Let's finish off on that note.
I think that's a ridiculous assumption. All right, I think we've spoken for enough.
All right,
unless you have anything else
to
add.
Done, Phoenix.
The well is dry for me today.
Okay, all right. That's all we've got. Thanks again for watching.
Thank you very much, guys.
We're still believers.
See you next week.
Bye for now.